All right, so welcome everyone. We are very happy to have so many people coming in and more are joining, which is, I have to let everyone in manually, but that's fine. Well, thank you for joining panel discussion, Eco-Friendly Amenities, Transforming Hospitality with Natural Products. And yeah, aiming to explore how the hospitality industry can transition to natural, eco-friendly personal care products. Let me just in this, here we go. I hope you can all see the sharing and that you can hear me. You can give me a little thumbs up so I know. And some house rules before we start. So please turn off your camera and your microphone. Use the chat to, add your questions, and we will try to address all of them at the end of this discussion. And also a little reminder, this meeting is recorded and we will be here for about 75 minutes. And you know what? I will actually double check if we are actually recording as well. Yes, we are. You never know. It has happened before that you are not recording. All right. Also, a written summary of this whole presentation will be found on my LinkedIn within the coming week. And so please feel free to connect and share it from there. And a link to download this whole presentation will be in the chat. I will paste the link there later on. And there you can also find all about our panelists, and there are small LinkedIn buttons. Those are actually clickable and will take you to our panelists. And to give you some background on all of this, this panel discussion is actually an activity organized as part of Natural Cosmetics Week 2023. And you can find many more activities actually on their website, netru.org. And NETRU stands for the International Natural and Organic Cosmetics Association. And the primary objective of this initiative of the Natural Cosmetics Week is to raise awareness about the advantages of natural cosmetics and promote their adoption across the beauty industry and contribute to a broader conversation about the impact of beauty products on the planet. And which is why this panel will explore the transition of hospitality to natural hygiene, personal care products, and really moving away from synthetic and petrochemical-based amenities. See? And to start, and before you meet today's amazing panelists, let me give you, as I said, some perspective here and background info on the natural cosmetics market and size and trends. So the global natural cosmetics market is projected to grow, you see here, from 35 to 59 billion by 2031. And this is driven by a demand for more eco-friendly and sustainable products. So we love to see this trend. And Europe actually holds a 38% market share. And this, again, is reflecting high consumer awareness for sustainable personal care products. And as we all know who are here, natural cosmetics support environmental health by avoiding harmful chemicals, microplastics, synthetic ingredients, and in the end, promoting cleaner ecosystems, which should be a priority for all of us. And it is actually the younger demographics, and especially Gen Z, who prioritize eco-conscious and cruelty-free products that align with sustainability and social responsibility. Let me just join. Here we go. And by 2030, Gen Z will make up for 30% of the global workforce, bringing with them readily disposable income and a strong focus on the above mentioned values like social responsibility, sustainability, and work-life balance. So the trend really is going towards wanting these eco-friendly products anytime. So really this rise in ethical consumerism focus on wellness and experiential spending. This means we want meaningful journeys rather than, we're saving up for a retirement travel trip. So we want experiential spending over material acquisitions. And this will fuel market expansion. So really, in short, as I see it, we want good for everyone products, both at home and during travel. So I see it that the hospitality sector, which is huge, has a choice here to be proactive or reactive in the matter of adopting natural cosmetic amenities. All right, now let's talk from me. Let's start. I welcome on the screen, please put on your cameras, Kim De Costa, Sustainable Business Connector, Maria Velaga, a sustainability expert in tourism, and Dr. Mark Smith, who is the Director General of True. So these are our panelists for today, and I'm really happy I have you all here with me.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks for the invitation, Andrea.
Thank you for joining. I will pin you as well for everyone to see, so you're not getting lost on the screen. There we have Maria as well. Perfect. And I would say, all the presentations about you, about everything, I will send it out. I would say, let's get to the questions, right?
Yes.
All right. So we were, one main question really is, what are the main challenges that are preventing the wider adoption of natural hygiene products in the hospitality sector? And yeah, how can the hospitality industry balance sustainability with economic realities? Big question. Maria, do you want to start? Just go ahead.
Maria, you're still muted. I'm not sure if she hears us.
No.
She's silenced, she's muted.
Well, Kim, you go ahead, and then let's...
Hey.
There you
Sorry.
are. Perfect.
Now you can hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
perfectly.
I'm saying good morning to all. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very pleased to participate in this panel. So let's jump directly to the challenges from the side of hospitality sector, because I'm working almost 30 years in this sector, dealing with all kinds of hotels. I would say that one of the most important challenges is the ignorance and the lack of information, even for the existence of certified labels like True. And I think today more than ever it is necessary from the side of cosmetic brands as well to provide cleaner definitions and transparent communication and to inform their clientele better. Second, I would say the lack of availability of such products suitable to cover the needs of the various hotel categories and to be affordable respectively. Third, the impression that the certified natural products are more expensive than the conventional ones. Although luxury and five-star hotels, they invest out of question, as we say, to well-known luxury brands, because they believe that their clientele will appreciate better a well-known brand than a certified natural product. And fourth, I think that another challenge is the various misleading claims, like in the market, green product. They say natural, a product that contains only argan or coconut oil, without searching if it comes from deforestation. Also, this create a confusion to the has created a confusion. So greenwashing claims affect negatively the trust of the consumers to do the right choice concerning the authentic products. These four are for me the most important challenges I see.
Thank you, Maria. And Kim and Mark, please feel free to, unmute and go for it.
Okay. Well, I absolutely agree with everything that Maria has said. There is one thing that I feel, apart from the lack of awareness and information, because we spoke a little bit before, and we still see a lot of, oh, let's reduce the packaging and let's go against plastics and so on. But it seems like no one, or not a lot of people, are having the conversation about what's within that packaging, like the ingredients, because that also has its effect when it goes into the drains and into the oceans. So that is one thing. But on the other hand, I feel, and even pulling down or like putting more emphasis on that, I see a lot of assumptions being made in the hotels. Like they assume their client will like the known luxury brand better. They assume they want their type of amenities that way. And I do, if there's anybody from the hotel business, I would like to know if they've actually asked their customer. Because I think that is a big role they can actually have, is literally asking. Like at times I'm even like, do we all really need so many amenities in our hotel room? Because I, for one, I know that a lot of hotels have the small typical amenities, or even if they do the big dispensers, but the ingredients I don't like. So I go with my own and I don't use anything in there. So it's kind of like with the straws, do you really need it? Like, is it absolutely a necessity that there is that much there every time somebody stays? So, and that for me is everything. Like, perception is everything, and a lot of assumptions are being made. And I would like to see that more hoteliers and accommodation in general, not just the big hotels, the smaller ones, just simply have that conversation and ask their guests, like, what is it that you want? Because I think they'd be surprised.
Correct, Kim. This is a question they don't ask.
Yeah,
but
I think
we will discuss it. We will discuss it later.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think they're very valid points. Probably what reflects the happening in the hospitality trade, it does take some elements from what generally happens within the representation of natural cosmetics within the marketplace. Because, yeah, I mean, in the instance that you're in, I don't know whether it's so much always a cost of living crisis, but of course there has been inflationary pressures. There are cases where people have to make choices about the types of products that they are investing in. And as you mentioned, Maria, if there happens to be a perception about a natural cosmetic being more expensive or less efficacious, then obviously the person procuring those is going to move towards cheaper products or more familiar brands. It does, at least from what I've seen, it does reflect also the particular marketplace and the consumer awareness. So, for example, in some markets where certification is more dominant and consumers are generally more familiar with seals, there is a case where some hoteliers will invest in certified brands. So, for example, this I've seen this can happen particularly like in Germany, for instance, but occasionally on some hotels that might be in Mediterranean countries like Spain. But it does depend on the policy of the hotel. This is for sure. And if they're trying to make claims themselves. So if part of their marketing is to basically push a more sustainable profile, evidently procuring more sustainable products, those obviously linked to some kind of qualified value, like that's a product that's been certified, is also something that they tend to invest in. But it's not everywhere. And as you mentioned, Maria, there is a case where there can be investment in products which are, let's say, misrepresentative because they are basically anchoring all of their claims on a particular ingredient. And that's generally what you're also seeing in the cosmetic sector broadly. But this will change, and there will be, like in between 2 and 3 years, a kind of movement away from this kind of more greenwashing situation, let's say, through European regulation, which will impact traders as well, because they'll still want to represent themselves as having an improved sustainability profile. So fingers crossed we see like some change, but at the minute, yes, it's a bit of a patchwork quilt on the market.
Yes, I love all the answers. Any comment to add? Otherwise, we go to the next one. All right, so next question then. How much awareness do you feel, have you experienced, exist within the hospitality industry about the dangers of petrochemical and synthetic products? Like when you have talked to hoteliers, or yeah, what's your experience here?
Well,
Maria, you have to unmute yourself again.
Maria, please.
The microphone is on the bottom left.
Yes.
Yes, there you go. Perfect.
Okay, concerning the awareness, the much of awareness, I would say that nowadays the awareness is increasing as we experience climate crisis obvious consequences. Of course, this is the people mentality. If you see the dangers in your yard, you start to worry and start search. However, still, as Mark says, still need a lot of work to be done towards training and mindset change, which is necessary for the hospitality green transition and for the integration of specific sustainability criteria to hotels' operational standards. In hospitality, we need to embed a culture in the sustainability culture. And this is different than just apply sustainability policy. So from the other hand, I would say that sustainability is not a quick solution, and the change has to be gradual. Cosmetic brands are not ready yet to fulfill the qualitative and quantitative requirements of the hospitality sector, and globally. Okay, so we cannot say tomorrow we're going towards certified products. So I believe very much that the solution is the creation of win-win synergies between the two sectors to support communication and awareness collaboration. To start to work towards this will create the first step, which could benefit the transition and could benefit the people health as well, and the planet better future. So this I have to say for this question. It's not needs more work on communication and information and awareness towards these petrochemical and synthetical consequences of all these products that they contain this.
Mm.
And sorry, and especially they don't know the consequences on their health. Apart from the carbon footprint and all this, the most important is that if you talk to the people and they use this in the hotels, they don't know what microplastic is, what is the consequences of this, what parabens is. So we need to concentrate on this kind of communication.
Mark, can you add something, please?
Yeah, I mean, maybe just a quick passing comment on this economic side before going into the point on ingredients. I I guess it's important, and we've seen this like recently within the certified sector, that essentially fluctuating either manufacturing costs due to energy prices or like costs of raw materials, and particularly as most manufacturers in this sector of the cosmetics industry tend to be SMEs, put a lot of pressure on their capacity to obviously deliver products at the price point that also some members of the hospitality industry might be also looking to get products to. And maybe that leads into this question of raw materials, because obviously there's, if you're dealing with a natural substance, particularly if you're sourcing it from botanicals, you can have potentially like quite large fluctuations depending upon like the availability of that particular raw material, whereas something that comes from fossil fuel is obviously a little bit more consistent in its price. So the ultimate deliverable can be a little bit more managed and predictable, and there's a little bit more security in that. But if you go to this point about the petrochemical or synthetic ingredients versus natural, I mean, I'm a chemist, so I can't kind of go from the perspective of saying that a petrochemical ingredient in a cosmetic, and particularly from a regulatory perspective, is any less safe than a natural substance, because the law requires these two, independent of origin, that the substance that's used in a particular product be safe and be evaluated for that purpose. And just to give you an example of that, if you take ethanol, which you may find in many products, ethanol you can make from petrochemical means, or you can make it from bacterial fermentation. At the end of the day, the product ethanol has to have the same safety profile. You know, we drink ethanol maybe at the weekend, and that comes from bacterial fermentation, but it's not always the same that might be in every product. So I understand the hazard avoidance point that consumers are sensitized to, but I think in the conversation moving forward, it's important to focus on really the claims that are being made, the authenticity and representation of those claims. So, for example, if you're making a claim about something being natural, but you have lots of petrochemical ingredients, obviously that is inconsistent. And just generally the case that if we deal with petrochemistry, we also want to, of course, move away from things which are finite, which we take out of the ground and essentially use and dispose of, and have a system where we've got more circularity and more renewability of these raw materials. And obviously that improves the sustainability profile, and naturals feed more into that conversation. So I think the importance is to shift away from maybe the hazard avoidance and the dangers towards more the accentuating the positive that naturals bring, which is really this case of, you know, looking more towards the sustainable, embracing a sustainable future that we all need to have.
And Kim, do you feel the hospitality industry is aware of all of this?
I heard the two of them speak, and obviously the answer is no. But to be not defending, but yet maybe I am, because I'm a sustainable business connector, so which means that I know a little bit of a lot of different sectors. So we work cross-sectorally, so which means that I neither can go into petrochemical, synthetic and natural products such as Mark just did, because it's kind of like, okay, this is new to me even. But neither will I, such as Maria, because she's been 25 years in hospitality. But that is the issue. There's many people like me that are not specialized, and you start talking. I mean, I know by now that cosmetics has like the INCI, which are the ingredients, or INCI, or whatever how you pronounce it. But you read that, and who understands that? No one. And within sustainability, not just cosmetics, but in general, there's so much terminology flying around, so much rules, norms, legislation coming out. And I mean, bear with me, because it's kind of like, oh my. So yes, there is little awareness, but the more we throw difficult terminology towards those hotels, and difficult conversations and these ingredients and so on, it's kind of like they just check out. It's like, this is too much. I'm dealing with all of this, because before we spoke about procurement, imagine being a procurement officer currently in a hotel. It's insane. So, well, insane, it's a challenge. So my short reply is no, there isn't a lot of awareness. On the other hand, I think there's a very strong need to make the conversation easier, to make the terminology easier. But that is not just on a cosmetics level, on every single level. I'm a huge advocate for kind of going, let's not make this too difficult as well, because it is. I mean, unless you kind of do a deep dive yourself into what real natural ingredients are, you are obviously misled by lots of claims because you don't really know, and we can't expect everyone to be an absolute specialist in this. So I think that's where a big part of this is coming from as well.
And
Yeah.
I think, this is why I totally understand. You look at the front and what the label is, promising, and you're not turning around looking at the back, which is why personally I think certifications like NetTrue make that process easier. Someone else has checked it already, right?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's to Kim's point. It's really about distilling lots of information into a symbol of trust, and whether that be like a certification seal, or whether that be like the type of claims that are being validated for. Not talking about efficacy or anything like that, because they can already be covered, but really about the more environmental aspects that are the kind of sensitizing points for consumers nowadays. It's kind of breaking all of that down, because in an ideal world, like you mentioned, Andrea, turning around and having a look at the ingredients, in an ideal world, you wouldn't really do that. You just kind of, gravitate to the product and that it met your needs, sort of thing. But obviously there's a big emphasis on scrutinizing, but then it goes to Kim's point that if you turn around the pack, maybe if I look at it and I've got a chemistry background, I kind of see what they are and likely where their origin comes from. But that's only because of my experience and my education, but that's just simply not true for everyone. So yeah, if you want to basically allow more of these products to be presented in the hospitality industry, there certainly has to be a case where the conversation is extremely simplified to what am I looking for and where can I get that, and as simple as that. Almost. I know that's a bit maybe glib, but anyway.
Maria, you wanted to? Yes.
Yes. I can't agree more, especially with what Kim said. I read recently the new legislation for the directive for the greenwashing. In order to evaluate that a claim is not greenwashing, it's so much work to do and so confusing that really, I would like to say that this is another challenge, I'm afraid, that soon we will have sustainability silence. The people cannot, especially the hospitality sectors and the seasonal hotels in particularly, that they work from 4 to 6, 7 months, with all the problems they facing, the rising cost, they cannot find personnel, to deal with all the new legislations for the system, for the reporting. From one hand, they are good, we need this, but we must make everything simpler. And that's why I said that from the cosmetic brands, we need transparency and truth on what they claim. And I'm glad that we raised this topic, because it's really a big issue in the hospitality sector. And from the one hand, we have sustainability systems for marketing tools in this period that we should wake up and not use sustainability for marketing reasons only. And from the other hand, with all these regulations, I'm afraid that, yes, the people will stop claim that they do things, or go towards sustainability practices.
Yes. All right. Let's move on to the next question. I feel like, oh my God, we could just talk forever on all of this. But I hope also with the Green Claim Directive that, I don't know, we will see a shift somehow. But the third question, and maybe, you know, this maybe can be a bit shorter answered, is there a real demand for natural amenities among hospitality guests? And which is a little bit what I covered in the introduction, that we see really a trend going towards wanting more eco-friendly alternatives. But is there anything you want to add, any observation you want to add to this?
Can I say something here?
Yes, please.
For sure, there is no statistics that can prove that hotel selection by their customers, they are due to the use of certified natural beauty products. As Kim said at the beginning, they don't ask this. But certainly what I have experienced all the year that I'm dealing with these issues, to integrate such criteria in the purchasing of toiletries in the room or spa beauty products and contribute to overall guest satisfaction, and also enhancing the hotel environmental profile in the market. So again, this has to do with the hotel category, the level of its clientele, nationalities. For example, I have seen that the hotels that they host German-spoken clientele or Scandinavians, they appreciate, these people, they appreciate, and when they see it, they express their satisfaction. It's not the same with other nationalities, especially from Asia or Middle East or this kind. So it's up to the hotel and what you would like to achieve based on the policy, as Mark said at the beginning.
If I can, I just want to add surely that I think there is a factor to keep into account as well. Like when you're home and you have your own cosmetics products and you recycle and you do everything the way you should, and then you go on holiday. There's a lot of people that do things at home one way, and when they go on holiday, because it's not that easy, and this is what they are presented, they won't complain. They won't express they will just say, oh, well, I'm on holiday. It's just 1 week. It's just 2 weeks. And then that changes as well. So I do agree with Maria when she says it's actually a little bit up the hotels as well. I'm assuming, as said, they don't know because they don't ask their guests. But at the same time, I do feel a lot of guests are like, well, I'm on holiday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you see that in the case of just outside of the hospitality sector with consumers when they're asked about natural cosmetics, that the kind of, let's say, correlation, the link between what people say and what people do is not always the case. There is some lip service because people want to obviously present themselves as being, with sustainability in mind. But yeah, that might all go out the window for convenience when you happen to be on holiday, because there may also be other factors involved, just simply the cost of actually going somewhere. So yeah, there's that kind of that lip service case, and really that is again a barrier that can only be closed through engagement and effective communication.
To add to that, I actually had a call the other day with a producer, and he was saying, you know what, if just hotels, when you book, why can't you have like an option? Okay, I pay €5 more and get this certified, locally produced, cosmetics, and see what happens. Like, would people actually actively choose to like, okay, oh my God, yes, I pay €5 more for that, which would be also a low risk for the hotel. They don't have to, transition to all natural amenities, but they could try and see. Because also when you look at wellness tourism, people want, even when they go on holiday, they want to continue living healthy. And this trend is the fastest growing travel trend, wellness tourism in the industry. So I think the demand will come, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to create it. That's the thing. And like I guess that's the trigger point, is can you create something without like giving people choice or incentive, or focusing on not treating everyone as if they're all in the same basket and all have the same situation, and have a more tailored experience could be an option.
Tailored experience, exactly. All right, let's move on to the next question. And it's also about, what strategies actually, could hotels use? I think we have covered this pretty much. What strategies can help overcome the reliance of these, synthetic and petrochemical-based products? I'm thinking, supplier partnerships, guest education, all of that, certification schemes.
Yeah,
I
mean,
okay.
Go ahead, Maria. Go ahead, Maria, please.
I would like to add some very practical strategies that I have tried in the hotels to create culture, sustainability culture first, because this is important. The hotel should understand that they are doing this. They change, they go to this transition because of a better life, first of all, for the staff, for themselves, and then for the guests. This will come. Anyway, so one strategy that I apply and I recommend is to involve guests, a partnership, as you said, with the suppliers, co-create interactive activities, and involve the guest in recreational interactive activities with customized service that simultaneously will train them, will give them the necessary the necessary information. The same with the staff. I have experienced in most of the spa in the hotels, the personnel don't know the values, the real qualities of the product, the beauty products they use. They just use them as the brands teach them, and as they have to do in order to do well their job, but they don't know the consequences of this use. So it is very important to train the staff that uses this product, even the housekeeping department who deals with the room toiletries. And another practical, I think, is to keep measurable results. It's very important to have numbers to keep measurable results of the certified natural product the hotel use against versus the conventional that she used before, and to keep numbers like the consumption, like the waste that they produce, the carbon footprint, impact to natural resources. I think this could gives very good results and benefit this kind of products, the natural, organic, certified products versus the conventional ones, if the supplier is ready to co-create and give us also some necessary information concerning this. But we can have also measurable results that we can, after they can be used for communication to our guests, to enhance the profile of the hotel, the sustainability profile, I mean, can be used in the sustainability reporting. So this is some methods also that I think they can be customized and used for the benefit of the products, of course.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of good points that Maria's made there. I was just thinking on this point of overcoming the reliance on petrochemical-based products. I guess like maybe there's a case to sell the experience as a more holistic package. I mean, people think about, like, for example, renewable energy. And maybe they're interested in that. Maybe they're interested in low water consumption. So it's a case of, you know, like you see commonly, keep your towels up, don't put them on the floor, so we don't need to, you know, reuse them and waste energy and water. And I guess if you incorporate naturals into that same conversation, that it's more about a holistic package of sustainability, then it becomes more of a link that people can make sort of effective understanding of. The case of, and I like this idea from Maria of like looking at, let's say, a life cycle approach to kind of evaluate how you might sort of procure particular raw materials and their impact on the environment. Or not forgetting, obviously, some of the social sustainability characteristics, because when you source lots of raw materials, typically natural cosmetic manufacturers, of course, are investing in some kind of social sustainability simply because of where they're procuring certain raw materials from. So there is an added ethical component as well. So there's that kind of feel-good factor as well that can be passed on to consumers. Maybe one case is when you happen to be sourcing on some of these raw materials to move away from the reliance, is product longevity, which is sometimes seen with naturals as an issue, because you might have an expiration date, a bit like a food, on a cosmetic product that contains naturals, whereas on a petrochemical product, it may have, like, let's say, stability for a lot longer period of time, and then for 12 months after opening, it can be used effectively. So this means, obviously, when you're procuring those, you can store those products for a lot longer period of time before their use phase. But that's a kind of a generality that I've just made, because it doesn't mean to say that you can't find natural products that have those same, or natural formulations that have those same, meet those same requirements. But it's a bit the same as like a retailer who's not going to buy a whole bunch of products which then expire within a period of time, and then they can't sell them or have them used because it's just money down the drain. So there is a case of like understanding what's out there, what can I do, how can I sell this, and how can I evaluate this to make a story that's interesting, not only for me, but for the guests.
Right, Kim, if you don't have anything to add, you have? Yes?
Not really. I think it's going to come up in following questions as well. So yeah, go ahead. Let's continue and then.
Yes, so question number 5. What role does greenwashing play? We have already, you know, talked about it, but maybe we can go a bit deeper. And how can the industry avoid it?
Well, greenwashing will play an obvious, because it's a misleading malpractice. It will create a problem where either a consumer or a guest in this case will not know the difference. So, for example, if they're expecting to go to a place that's green and sustainable, and they happen to have a product which is not meeting those criteria, for argument's sake, then obviously that can be misleading. That can lead to a dilution of trust. But greenwashing and the type of claims that are made on products in order to sell them, either directly to consumers, of course, or for procurement, can also lead to confusion. So if you're trying to do more, then obviously you could be misdirected. In terms of avoiding it, well, current framework will obviously there's various certification seals to evaluate. I think it's important with certification seals to not kind of group them all into one area. So it should really be based upon the type of criteria they have, the type of practices they use to validate those. That's very technical and detailed, and not something that I would recommend to like a hotelier to try and understand. But it's just a case to mention here whilst we're discussing it. But in the future, yes, there should be more regulatory groundwork to basically provide a better framework generally for people who are sourcing natural or sustainable products.
I absolutely agree with what Mark said, and at the same time it came to mind that greenwashing, that phenomenon has had another effect, which is called greenwashing, and which you see a lot in the smaller brands. So where the big brands go and shout, whether it's, let's say, cosmetics, because this is the conversation we're having today, but it's cross-sector as well. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, they're all shouting about, so I don't want to say, because I consider I do not do enough, or it is not enough, so I'm not going to say, or I'm not certified yet, so I won't say that I am doing all of these things because I'm not reaching it, and I want to avoid greenwashing, which is funny because it's kind of like, well, no, you should say what you're doing, not what you will be doing, but what you're doing today. So because we all know, it was said in the conversation before, like the majority of natural cosmetics producers are SMEs. They're small companies. So there's lots of challenges to like marry that particular industry with the big, large hotels. Maybe smaller ones, yes, but it's kind of like, how do we do this? It's volume, it's greenwashing, it's a lot going on there. To avoid it, I feel a lot of times when I speak to because there's the procurement manager, but lots of in hotels have a sustainability coordinator as well. And I feel a lot of times as well that they're still working a little bit in silos, or that the sustainability manager can only do so much. And the challenge there within all of this greenwashing, how do we avoid it, is sustainability coordinator should actually be involved in absolutely every single thing that hotel does, which is to let them work and to let them really dive in, because they need to know about, okay, this is the marketing we do, and we don't want to do greenwashing, and this is the procurement, and this is that. So it's an important one for me is that owners of hotels and management actually literally gives them the, not freedom, but like they have to back them up. They have to let them do their work. Which would be my 5 cents.
Maria, go ahead.
And also, I agree with what Mark and Kim said. I would like also to add here that in small places, in local, we have local producers that they cannot afford a certification. But this doesn't mean that they don't produce a good product with value. So what I try to motivate the sustainability coordinators and people that they are involved, especially in choose products and source the products for the hotel, because all the changes start from us. So it's better to try to search, to ask, to go and see, and to select based on some real criteria, real authentic criteria of what you want and what the supplier does. So sometimes we see that, and we have to choose from the local. If you choose locally, the sustainability, the sustainable criteria, they say, yes, you're doing well. I don't agree on this in general, but we should again select based on some quality criteria that we would learn by searching, by learning, by asking. So this is, and not exclude these people. This is my opinion regarding even the natural products, because there are many small producer SMEs in Iceland that they have their own herbs. They try to do something small, create 1, 2, 3, not more products. And we should support, if they really do a good work, we should support these people.
This is the kind of double-edged sword that will be coming in with all the legislation on greenwashing, of course, is that the way that you substantiate an environmental or social sustainability claim will be certification, but then small companies may not be able to set aside the money to do that. And, you know, the net result of that equation is greenwashing, because then they would need to mitigate their risk on the market until they have the funds to be able to invest in a sustainability label scheme.
Yes. All right, 2 more questions to go. So next one, what resources or support do hotels and restaurants need to make the switch to natural amenities? I think Maria you all said it very well already. But how ready are manufacturers to produce natural and organic cosmetics that are adapted to the hospitality, quantitative needs and the affordable, the cost of it all? Mark, maybe you have something to say here.
Well, I mean, if we look at the marketplace as it is at the minute, because of various economic pressures, there is some kind of movement, at least even within the retail sector, towards private labels, which are produced by third-party manufacturers. And there are a lot of third-party manufacturers in Europe, particularly like from our experience within the German, Austria, Switzerland region, but France as well. And they're used to delivering certified products at competitive prices at scale. So, and through a kind of broad diversity of cosmetic products, but of course, in general, we'll be looking at things like body lotions, hair care, shower gels, things like this. So there is a kind of setup for that, but of course, it's to meet demands now. And if we imagine that it's a supply-demand equation, if suddenly everyone wanted to have natural products, maybe you won't be able to supply that at the current systems, which is also a conversation that's being had at more kind of European level about how do we deal with a market for primary bio-based, so primary renewable raw materials, as well as secondary. So how do we also work with upcycling and use of waste streams to basically introduce new ingredients into products? Because at the minute demand is at a certain level, but if that were to spike, that might create supply issues. So yeah, manufacturers are ready to make these type of products, but we need to be aware of the scalability of these type of situations.
I think the question as well is always, because we always speak about affordable cost, but I'm circling back to what we said before, which was like, yeah, but what is affordable? Within the entire realm of everything which is like circular economy, let's say, if you speak about certain new ingredients that come from, it's the same thing. For me, everything starts with the first step, which is basically reduction. I might speak against the suppliers right now, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, but do we really need all that body lotion and so on when we're on holiday? The suggestion Andrea made before, which was, why don't we ask our guests? I think, I'm not sure if the option was in there, kind of like pay €5 for natural or pay nothing but don't get any amenities. I would love to have that option and say, no, don't put amenities in my room. I don't need them. Others might. So we do that with so many things already, but not with the toiletries. And then apart from that, when we come to affordable, there's one important thing that I've noticed as well with the small suppliers, is it's not just the fact that it's the cost of their product they need to sell, it's also their difference in having certain cash flow in the hotels that have their payment structure. And it's kind of like, yeah, you supply me with everything you've got. So they need to buy their raw materials, invest in everything, the packaging and so on. They deliver it. And then maybe they get paid like 30, 60 days after. But at least here, I'm based in the Canary Islands. I'm not sure if that's like that everywhere, but it's a reality in Spain. And that kills small brands as well. They're just not, even if they would say like, okay, yes, I can do this volume, but I can't do it when you pay me 2 months after I've delivered everything. So that's another struggle they have. So they're ready. I don't know. Yes, they can be, but it's challenging. And at the same time, I do feel like it's from the accommodation side that they need to kind of work better together. And then there's one thing we spoke about, co-creation. And I do wonder at times if it is a possibility, because every supplier, maybe the supplier specialized in shampoo and there's others in this. And I do wonder at times, why don't they team up and go together? Not as one in the same brand and become one in the same brand, but just kind of do this partnership and sell together as a package to be stronger together, to reach the volume. I don't know, it's something I've been thinking about a lot. I don't really have the answer because I haven't spoken with enough suppliers on this, but it is a question because I do feel that a lot of SMEs should be doing that, is teaming up.
Sometimes there are manufacturers that produce a wide diversity of cosmetic products, and other times they will focus on obviously particular product categories, whether they be makeup or like, you know, leave-on, sun care or what have you. So absolutely there is that, and I totally recognise that point, Kim, about the cash flow situation, because, you know, outside of the hospitality sector that we're talking about at the minute, that there are some SMEs that have been, you know, certified for many years, and these companies end up under recent economic conditions going bankrupt because of these type of similar situations where it's really about cash flow. It's about I need to be able to pay someone, I need the money from someone else, and this kind of chain of transactions becomes problematic, particularly with like rising or fluctuating costs. So the preparedness I mentioned is about really the let's say the principle of they can make these products, but it doesn't mean to say that the economic situation is necessarily always matching that.
Yes, Maria, if you have a short comment, we can take that. Otherwise, we move on to the last question.
Short comment that I think in order the hospitality sector should prioritize where they could use and they should use the certified natural products. And I think the first sector is the spa sector, the wellness, as you said, Andrea, because there they offer a service for their guest well-being, and actually they don't go deep to what does it mean concerning with everything they use. So the amenities in the rooms is second priority, because Kim, usually we have seen, often we see the clients to bring their own products, but never say, as you said, they express their belief on this. And also we have experienced that when the single-use plastic law got in force in 2021, most of the luxury hotels and most of the hotels, they switched in big refillable bottles or big bottles without any complaint. And in the previous year, it was very hard to convince them that this service is a good service for their clients. I want to say that things that are in their head and they believe that this is a quality service because it is a system. It is the system for years that has evaluated it like this, without taking into consideration the change, the behavior, the change in the people's behavior. This is something that we should take into consideration nowadays.
Yes, thank you. So last question, and maybe to summarize even a little bit, and get clarity. What next steps should hotels and amenity suppliers take to start, accelerate this transition? So what to do?
Well, I
You
guess
said it. Yes, go ahead.
I guess
Mark.
maybe lifting off some of the points we've talked about. There's obviously the stimulation. Well, it seems a stimulation of consumer demand and communication. The sort of partitioning of choice to some extent. This kind of promotion of naturals as an added choice with the reasons why. This simplification of communication to the hospitality industry and by them to their consumers, and maybe just this case of it being a transition. You have to realize that it's not like a light switch where you just turn it off and on to go from not sustainable to sustainable. It's more like a dimmer switch. So you have to understand how you're going to factor in any changes over a period of time and what that's going to mean for you in terms of your economics, but also like your client base. I'm not really thinking so much directly from the hospitality, but more on a broader thing of how people are transitioning within the cosmetic sector in any case.
I can say as a conclusion, Andrea, that concerning the hospitality sector, although it is difficult, but they should change to comply with today's challenges, people needs, and the complex issues of sustainability. Concerning both sectors, companies of both sectors, and cosmetics and hospitality, I think they all should set clear goals, build positivity and transparency in governance and to their claims, being open to new ideas and communication, and work up and down their supply chain through synergies and teamwork to develop solutions. And the most important is to start allocate capital to projects that they have a purpose. They really matter for the future of this humanity, which is something that we need to see from all the business sectors. So individually, I think we have already said it. Change, I believe very much that every change starts with us and our daily choices. So we should search, ask questions, seek transparency, and try to select authentic certified products whenever is possible. Consume less, as Kim said, based on our real needs. This is an overall conclusion that I would say to our today's panel.
For me, it is what they said. It's basically having the conversation, just starting the conversation. That is where it starts all, whether it's a conversation with their guests, whether it's a conversation with potential suppliers. And I want to cycle back to that one of the first slides, which said the experiential experience, like this is the new generation that wants experiences. And I still feel amenities a lot of times or toiletries are in the room because it's always been like that. And I'm a 5-star and we should have that. But if you want to go into that natural thing, then I feel it should be sold more as an experience, because that is at the same time, it's better for your health. So communication in there, and in collaboration with a brand, not just for training resources, but also towards your guests. Like, I think there's a new I'm not saying revenue stream, but something there that can be exploited together in between supplier and hotel. But that all starts by first having a willingness, and secondly, wanting to have that conversation and then take it from there. I think the conversation is everything.
I love your conclusions. I love this panel and that, you know, get the discussion going. And we did today. Definitely. We even, you know, timing is perfect. So I would like everyone who's still here and listening, please feel free to ask your questions or give us your comment. I will find the link to the presentation so you can download it as well. And send back to you, Markim and Maria, if you want to, you know, say something else, please do. We have, you know, 7 more minutes.
I mean, I think it's we probably like discussed a lot on the kind of ins and outs, but yeah, it's a tricky moment as a tipping point at the end of the day. But if you're, I guess the thing is, if the holistic conversation here is about like sustainability in general and how you approach that. And, you know, it's not a nice to have anymore. It's not just like an internal policy. It's an inevitability that you need to cross that threshold. And although you may feel alone in this, I think maybe this goes to kind of Kim's point, is about how can you have pre-competitive collaboration, or where can you find resources and people to talk to who can genuinely assist you on this journey. Because if you are coming to it blind, so to speak, you don't know how to orientate yourself. And I imagine that that is a scary exercise, because you generally want your business in whatever it is to succeed. And so if you want to do that and you really want to do well, it's about contacts. So hopefully, like there's also a case where, you know, if you need to reach out to associations or consortiums or business bodies, they can provide that type of advice for you, that can give you like a genuine point of orientation. Maybe one point I just wanted to kind of, when we were talking about this affordable cost, because we have this with our members sometimes, is that if you think about a natural product and the things that might go into it, you're buying more than the kind of sum total of the product. You don't necessarily always just buy a shampoo or a body lotion. I mean, some of our members are sourcing from communities in Bhutan or something like this, and they're investing in those communities even when those communities are not delivering raw materials, for example, because they have a personal relationship with those communities. And so when you look at the cost of a product, I mean, there's that old acronym that, you know, if you're not paying for the product, someone else is, or something else is. And so I guess there's also understanding what the value of any product is. And yes, I mean, if you make ingredients cheaply, and you can do that sometimes for naturals, or they can come out of the ground in terms of fossil fuels, and you can have more stability and cost effectiveness. But if you're investing in a lot of natural materials, then you can also be investing in communities as well. And although that can seem dissociative and far away from, like, perhaps your immediate first use of the product, like just to clean my hair or clean my body, there's that added value to it. And I think that these are things to kind of resonate with, particularly when it comes to natural products. But it's not always the case, in my experience, that every company, even ones that have been around for a long time, who make natural products, really promote that side of their business. They tend to be a little bit communication shy about it. because it's just something that they do. But I think if you're doing that work, be proud of it and promote that.
I absolutely agree, Mark. That's what I wanted to get at with the greenwashing. And then when you were speaking, it came to mind, like, there's always the invisible cost of the products, which I would say the petrochemical ones and so on, like the cost to the environment. But then there's the invisible value of so many other that do really good, but they don't. So again, it's yeah, a lot of things are based on conversation. I had a question for the two of you, since I think you've been in this longer than I am. I would love, maybe Maria has one, maybe Mark has one, to find examples. Like, are they positive examples from accommodation or anywhere that you see they've done that, they've taken that leap, they are working with natural products, and that how it's going? Because currently, I have to be honest, I don't know of any that has really taken so much steps. Yes, I do within their spa or whatever, but I would love to hear from you.
Yes, Kim, there is the reality is that you cannot find, especially in the south, in all the destinations, products that they are certified. Okay, this is the first reality. But if the hotel chains and the hotels that they can afford and import products from other places like Germany or yes, they have sustainability policy. Of course, it starts from there in their sustainability purchasing policy, that they would like to source products like this, and especially the hotels that I'm working with. They have important, even from Italy or Germany, such amenities, such products for their clientele, and with the suitable communication, they have been appreciated very much. Of course, in Greece, for example, that I'm working a lot as well, it's very difficult to not only to find, but to convince the suppliers to be certified according to a global recognizable label. But I think the demand is increasing, and especially in the spa sector. And also, there are many hotels, good hotels, that they are searching for at least not a certified product, but at least for companies, for cosmetic companies, they are certifications like B Corp, or they have any other labels for their management and their policies. And I would like to add something, a positive info here. I was reading the recent reports and statistics from tourism platforms, selling platforms like Booking.com, TripAdvisor, etc. And although the inflation, the geopolitics, the AI, the cost rising, which are the spotlight, all the statistics from tourism show that consumers still value sustainability, and they appreciate if they find such practices in the hotels and products in the hotel.
Yes, thank you so much. I feel like this conversation needs to keep going, and I will definitely continue working on this. We actually got a quick question. Here is, okay, 2 questions. If any one of you needs to leave, that is totally fine. I respect your schedule. Let's get to the question really quick. Let's see. So I have natural cosmetic brand that does solid hotel amenities, but the biggest issue I find is that the hotels really struggle to change their mindset. Is there anything you would like to recommend to be able to get around? I would say there is. We have talked about it here. Let's just go to the next question as well, because I also think because we're short on time here, download the presentation and connect and ask this question again there. Another one, Ili is saying, I own a natural luxury soap brand. I know you have it in a couple of hotels, Ili. 100% natural, and we already started working with some hotels in France, Italy, Luxembourg, and face the same challenges, struggle in changing the procurement mindset to enhance the customer experience. So his question is, what strategies have proven effective for small-scale suppliers to overcome the perceived cost barrier of natural amenities and present themselves as a viable option for hotels? Really important questions, and I think there needs to be work done to bridge that problem. Any quick comment on this?
I think for this kind, remember what I said earlier in for the strategies, to involve guests and create with the supplier interactive experience. I mean, this is the solution, especially for small suppliers like this one, to create a customized service and to work together with the hotel to behind the product, not to sell the product, but to sell the storytelling behind the product, which will add an added value to the hotel product. You know what I mean? So by adding, it is good to create a storytelling. As Mark says, we have the social advantage, the social value behind of some of these products. We should bring into light. The customers, they like this. So by targeting in the guest satisfaction, you can sell products. You can increase sales.
I absolutely agree. I do think for small brands, it's really difficult because this is my day-to-day reality as a sustainable business connector, that lots of times they don't even get in the door. It's like if a hotel is kind of like, yeah, we have our supplies and so on and so on, it's really hard for them to open the door and to find that person within the hotels that wants to have that conversation and say, okay, let's try this together. So I think that is where they need help as well, the smaller brands.
Yeah, maybe adding an added value. I mean, I can imagine with if someone's selling a large bulk of a liquid soap at high volume and low cost, that like for like, maybe they consider, like with a small brand, yes, you can't get in the door, or the costs, or what to do with the waste, because obviously a solid product, I guess most hotels would also be primed to replace that product for the next guest, irrespective of it only being used a little bit, like open, particularly if it's a soap. So maybe there's a case to also invest in what to do with those used products, let's say. You know, is there a kind of secondary life for those that the manufacturer can offer, which is a bit more in line with this kind of reuse mentality, so that it's not just a linear process of producing sale. What do you do with that? So it's more about the circularity of the service that you can perhaps offer, particularly on some of these waterless products.
Exactly. All right, let's wrap this up. We have another question. Oh my God, we don't have time. Are you okay with 2 more minutes? Otherwise, Mark, I know you maybe have to go because you're
I'm okay, no worries.
Managing the whole week. All right, yeah. So Olga from Oakquist Cosmetics with handcrafted, actually, terracotta vessels, really cool. But she says, what's your insight in refills and hotels? Would they do the extra work to refill the reusable packaging? That would be one way to reduce the costs for smaller brands.
Often with reuse, it depends on the safety profile. So, for example, it's how you're packaging the product. Sometimes it's sort of, let's say, pre-filled reuse. So, in other words, it's a reusable packaging. It's often in a secondary container within a primary applicator. But yeah, the safety will be the first concern, of course, because you don't want to have a product that then you're providing to potentially multiple consumers at the hotel, multiple guests, that happens to inadvertently impact their health. So that would be the main issue. I mean, it's a main issue with reusable, full stop, in cosmetics, is how can you assure the safety of that product?
Also the longevity of the product, like you don't want to mix old product with new one.
Precisely, yeah. It's about, if I've got a really reusable container, what is that container? How has it been cleaned and treated before reintroduction of a new product?
I would like to add here that yes, hygiene and safety is the main obstacle, but doesn't mean that we cannot develop operational standard for this and educate, train the housekeeping department or the people that they are involved. We can choose responsible staff, train them, and create the standards. So for hotels, it depends on the category of the hotel. For all-inclusive, small hotels, 3-star hotels, refillable is a good solution. But with this additional prerequisite to create the hygiene standards.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to say there are hotels doing this actually already, not as much with their cosmetics, but with their cleaning products, which obviously safety-wise is different because this is an add-on. Yes. Yeah, I know. But it's kind of like, so, but the easiest step for me would be try and find these that already have like the procedure in place to do the refills for the cleaning, because they're used to refilling, even though, as said, safety obviously is always really important in this case.
Yeah. Go for the low-hanging fruit, for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect. All right. So thank you so much for today, for your time, your insight, your, work that you do on a daily basis, like everyone who's here, and particularly you here today, Mark, Kim, and Maria. And I hope you also connect with each other. And yes, thank you so much for today.
Thank you very much, Andrea. Thank you all. We should continue this effort, I think.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%.
Have a nice day, all.
Yep. Take care. Thank you very much, Andrea.
Bye.
You all soon.
Bye-bye.